Hello everybody, it's Steve from housemcfarlintheories, and welcome back to another Game of Thrones video. The third episode of the new Game of Thrones season has brought viewers an action-packed and gratifying experience. Though, as true fans of the show are aware, sometimes the most passive and subtle scenes stand out amongst the rest. In the case of today's video, I'm referring to the conversation between Varys and Melisandre, which has led to some interesting speculation about the rest of Season 7 and Season 8. During their conversation, Varys advises Melisandre to flee from Westeros and disassociate herself with the affairs of the North. After burning Shireen, Stannis Baratheon's daughter, she is unwelcomed by Jon, and instead plans to head to Volantis, one of the oldest free cities in Essos. Of course, being as superstitious as she is, Melisandre brings up prophecy once more and tells Varys that although she is leaving for the time being, she will be back again. This conversation raises some questions regarding Melisandre's intentions for traveling to Volantis. What business could she possibly have there, and why will she choose to return to Westeros? To answer these questions and more, let's go over some basics about what we know of Volantis first. We caught a glimpse of the city when Tyrion and Varys detoured past, which, coincidentally, is where Jorah kidnapped Tyrion. Aside from this, we also know that it was one of the 3 cities funding the Sons of the Harpy, and that Robb Stark's wife, Talisa, was born there. However, the city does not bear much significance to the plot as a whole. What we know more about, on the other hand, is the religion of R'hllor and its prevalence in Essos. This is the religion that the Brotherhood Without Banners and Melisandre follow. It is also linked to the prophecy of Azor Ahai, which was briefly discussed last episode. My speculation is that Melisandre is traveling to Volantis, a religious hub of R'hllor, to meet with the Red Priests. It just so happens that Volantis is home to the largest spiritual stronghold of R'hllor in the world. One of its temples, which is 3 times larger than the Sept of Baelor, trains thousands of slaves to become warriors, which go on to worship Faith in the Red Temple. These warriors, known as the Fiery Hand, are armored in orange robes and steel armor. Their spears are shaped like flames, and they strike with insurmountable power. The question now is how the soldiers will tie into the plot. Melisandre now knows of the threat of the White Walkers, and is most likely there to gather reinforcements. She may be able to appease to Jon Snow by offering a powerful ally in the War for the Dawn. This seems to mesh nicely with the rest of the story, as it would make perfect sense for these fiery warriors to help take down the Night King. The Red Priestesses, who have the power to bring back soldiers from the dead, could also join the Fiery Hand in their fight. Now at this point you may be wondering, why would the soldiers be willing to help Melisandre? And though that's a perfectly valid point, a scene from Season 6 may hold the answer. When Varys and Tyrion meet with Kinvara, a Red Priestess of Volantis, they discuss a deal to work with Daenerys Targaryen. Strangely, Kinvara already knows of Daenerys as being the prince who is promised, Azor Ahai. This suggests that other priests, including those in the Red Temple, will be willing to aid Daenerys in her cause of stopping the White Walkers. We have reason to believe that the priest will do anything to assist Azor Ahai in his conquest to stop the Long Night and restore peace to Westeros. In other words, by introducing Kinvara last season, the show writers have set a basis for Melisandre to head to Volantis and make her next move. With the Fiery Hand and a group of Red Priests, she could return to Westeros and begin the fight against the White Walkers. She likely would not partake in Cersei and Daenerys' war, but rather aid Jon directly in the north. If it turns out that his army needs extra soldiers, Melisandre could be there to reignite, quite literally, the battlefield. There is another point which mixes quite well with this theory. In the first episode of the season, Melisandre and Daenerys were discussing the unpopularity of R'hllor in the Seven Kingdoms.
The Lord of Light doesn't have many followers in Westeros, does he?
Not yet. But even those who don't worship the Lord can serve his cause.
Now that Daenerys is making her move for the throne, however, she could win over the Red Priests by promising to endorse R'hllor amongst the Westerosi people. In exchange for spreading the religion, the Red Priests would provide their soldiers an aid in fighting. Even though this theory does seem to bear some substance, there are a few plot holes with it. For one, the producers of Game of Thrones have gone out to say that there will be no appearances of Essos in the 7th season. So, if at all, the story arc would have to transpire throughout Season 8, and as we know, there will only be a slim 6 episodes to the last season. It's hard to imagine the show writers devoting so much screen time to this plot, as there is a great deal of backstory they would need to set up. With all that having been said, however, this plotline seems like fair game for the book series, as there's no telling which direction Martin is going to take. That's it for this theory though, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe and leave your feedback in the comments section. Do you see this theory as a possibility, or is it too far-fetched? Before I finish off the video, I'd like to apologize for the lack of uploads lately. For me personally, content production had been growing a bit stale in the off-season, but now with the new Game of Thrones episodes coming out, I'm pleased to say that I'm back on track with the posts. Once more, thanks for tuning in and take care.